For decades, we have stared into the great, silent darkness, asking a single, profound question: are we alone? Tonight, we have an answer. The great silence has been broken. We are receiving reports corroborated by sources inside the international astronomical community that the interstellar object known as 3I, Atlas, a visitor from another star system, is not just a passing comet. It is talking, and we have detected the signal. What you are seeing on your screen is the object in question, the 3I Atlas. It was discovered in July 2025, a faint smudge moving against the backdrop of fixed stars. Astronomers at the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, the ATLAS survey, flagged it. Its trajectory was unusual, like the two visitors before it, Oumuamua and Borisov. This object's path was a hyperbola. That's the technical term. What it means is simple and spine-chilling. It is not from here. It is not bound by our sun's gravity. It is falling through our solar system, a tourist from a star countless light years away, and it will continue, eventually leaving us behind, heading back into the deep interstellar void. It is the third such object we have ever confirmed. The 3I in its name means exactly that. Third, interstellar. At first, it was a curiosity for astronomers. We found details that show it has a peculiar green glow, the signature of diatomic carbon, C2, being vaporized by solar radiation. It has a strange tail, one that seems to point towards the sun, not away from it, a phenomenon that has puzzled physicists. Its speed is enormous, over 130,000 miles per hour. But even with these anomalies, it was catalogued as a comet, a natural, albeit alien, piece of ice and rock. Then, just weeks ago, as it neared its closest approach to the sun, it did something that comets are supposed to do. A team using the powerful Meerkat radio telescope array in South Africa detected a faint radio emission. The headlines were brief, academic. The signal was identified as the signature of hydroxyl radicals, OH molecules, being shed by the comet as its water ice turned to gas. It was proof of water, the ingredient for life. A fascinating but natural discovery. Case closed. Or so we were told. Tonight, we can report that the case closed narrative was, at best, incomplete. At worst, it was a deliberate obfuscation. Our sources, who have provided us with data that is now being peer-reviewed under the highest levels of secrecy, have confirmed that embedded within the noisy natural static of that hydroxyl signal was something else. A pulse, a pattern, a thin, sharp, undeniable spike on the spectrum, a signal so precise, so narrow, and so mathematically structured that it has one and only one possible origin. It is artificial. It is the product of an intelligence. Let's be absolutely clear about what we are reporting. This is not speculation. This is not a fuzzy photograph. This is a radio signal, a stream of data captured by the most sophisticated listening devices on our planet. When we say signal, you might imagine a voice, a snatch of music. The reality is both simpler and infinitely more profound. What the radio telescopes received was a narrow band transmission. To understand why this is the single most important discovery in human history, you have to understand what the universe sounds like. Naturally, the cosmos is loud. It's a cacophony. Pulsars, the spinning cores of dead stars, send out sweeping beams of radiation, regular beeps, across the entire radio spectrum. Quasars, distant galaxies with supermassive black holes at their hearts, scream with the energy of a trillion suns. Even the background, the leftover echo of the Big Bang itself, is a constant, pervasive hiss. But all this natural noise is broadband. It's messy. It's like a waterfall, splashing static across thousands of frequencies at once. The signal from 3I, Atlas, is not a waterfall. It's a whistle, a single, pure, impossibly thin note shining out from the cosmic static like a laser beam in a fog. We found details in the telemetry confirmed by multiple observatories to rule out any terrestrial interference. The signal is just a few hertz wide. Nature does not produce signals this clean, this focused. A signal this narrow requires a transmitter. It requires technology. For days, teams at Meerkat, at the Green Bank Telescope, at the Allen Telescope Array worked in frantic secrecy. They had to be sure, was it a military satellite, a classified new generation spy plane, a complex hoax? Our sources confirmed, they checked everything. They used a technique called interferometry, linking telescopes thousands of miles apart to pinpoint the signal's origin with infallible precision. The signal is not from Earth, it is not from Mars, it is not from our solar system at all, except for the object it is traveling with. The signal's point of origin moves in lockstep with 3I, Atlas. This is the smoking gun. The signal is, beyond any reasonable doubt, coming from the interstellar object. The initial shock of this discovery, we are told, was palpable. This is the WOW signal realized. You might remember that name. In 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio detected a powerful 7 2-second long narrowband burst from the direction of Sagittarius. An astronomer, Jerry Eman, circled the data printout and wrote, "Wow," in the margin. That signal was never heard again. It became a legend, a tantalizing hint, but it remained a mystery. This is not a mystery. This is not a one-time event. The signal from 3I, Atlas, is repeating. This is the moment everything changes. The question is no longer are they out there. The question is what are they saying and why are they using a comet as a messenger? The implications are staggering. You are living in a moment in time, a fulcrum of history, where humanity has collectively learned it is not the only thinking creature in the great dark expanse. The cosmos, in all its 13.8 billion years of evolution, has produced other minds, and one of them, or at least its automated handiwork, is currently moving past the orbit of Mars. Think about what this means. Every war, every border, every ideology, every human squabble shrinks into insignificance. We have been a species defined by our isolation. That isolation has just officially ended. The sky is no longer a canvas of distant dead fires. It is a neighborhood. And the neighbors, it seems, are finally making their presence known. This isn't just a scientific discovery. It's a philosophical, a cultural, a religious, a human realignment. The story of our species is no longer our own. It is now a part of a larger galactic narrative. We found details about the initial reaction. We are told that when the verification was confirmed, there was no cheering in the control rooms. There was just a profound, heavy, terrifying silence. The silence of an entire species holding its breath. The object 3I, Atlas, is now more than a comet. It is an artifact. It is a message in a bottle thrown into the cosmic ocean, and it has just washed up on our shore. We've moved from the realm of science fiction into the realm of hard, verifiable data. And the data is telling us that the theories of Fermi, of Drake, of all the dreamers who looked at the stars and wondered were not in vain. The silence is broken, the void has spoken, and we, the human race, are now faced with the monumental civilization-defining task of trying to understand what it said. So what is the signal saying? This is where the story moves from astronomy to cryptology, from physics to mathematics. We can report tonight that the signal is not just a simple hello beep. It is complex. We found details that suggest it is a data-rich, modulated pulse. Let me explain. A simple carrier wave, like that whistle we described, just proves intelligence. But modulating that wave, changing its properties, its frequency, its amplitude, its phase, is how you piggyback information onto it. It's the difference between a dial tone and a voice on the phone. The signal from 3I Atlas is not a dial tone. Sources inside the SETI Institute who have been brought into this need-to-know loop have confirmed that the signal is pulsed. It's a stream of on and off bursts. This is in its most basic form, binary code. It's the language of digital computers. It's the most basic fundamental language of logic. 1 or 0, yes or no, on or off. This is an immediate, staggering revelation. It suggests a form of intelligence that, like ours, has built its technology on the foundation of binary logic. But the complexity, we are told, goes far, far deeper. The pulses are not random. They are grouped into packets. And these packets, we can confirm, are structured around one of the most fundamental, non-natural, and unmistakably intelligent concepts in the entire universe, prime numbers. The sequence of pulses includes bursts patterned on primes, 2 pulses, then 3, then 5, then 7, then 11, then 13, and so on, climbing higher and higher into the number chain. Why is this a monumental discovery? Because there is no known natural phenomenon. No pulsar, no quasar, no magnetar, no plasma ejection that produces sequences of prime numbers. Primes are a test. They are the universal I am intelligent handshake. A civilization, any civilization, that has progressed far enough to build a radio transmitter will, by necessity, have discovered mathematics. And the cornerstone of mathematics is number theory. The cornerstone of number theory is the prime. It's as if the sender wanted to be found, but only by someone who knew what to look for. It's a signal designed to filter out non-technological observers. It's a message that says, if you can understand this, you are like us. This is the first layer of the message. It's the envelope. And it is addressed to any and all emerging technological civilizations. We just happen to be the ones who received it. Now, the analysis becomes even more granular. We've found details that go beyond the simple on-off binary. The signal, we are told, is also chirped. This is a highly technical term. It means the frequency of the whistle is not perfectly stable. It is deliberately and precisely sliding up and down the radio dial, but in a controlled, patterned way. Why do this? A chirped signal is far more robust. It can cut through the natural static of interstellar space, the interference from gas clouds and stellar winds, far more effectively than a static frequency. It's a sign of incredibly advanced engineering. This isn't a crude, leaky transmission like our 1,950 seconds television broadcast. This is a purpose-built, hardened, interstellar beacon. The signal is also polarized. This refers to the orientation of the radio waves in space. Natural signals are almost always a messy, jumbled mix. This signal, our sources confirm, is perfectly 100% circularly polarized. Again, this is a hallmark of artificiality. It's a feature, not a bug. It requires enormous amounts of energy and highly specific antenna technology to produce. So we have a pulsed, prime number based, chirped, and polarized narrowband signal originating directly from an interstellar object currently in our solar system. This is the case. This is the evidence. It is, according to every expert we have spoken to who has been briefed on the data, irrefutable. The debate is over. The implications are just beginning. What is in the binary code? That is the next terrifying question. We are told the data stream is vast. The prime numbers were just the header, the introduction. The main body of the message is a dense block of ones and zeros. It is, for now, completely incomprehensible. It's encrypted, or perhaps it's not encrypted at all. Perhaps it's just so advanced that we lack the context. Is it a picture, a scientific formula, the galactic equivalent of the Arecibo message we ourselves sent in 1974? Is it a library, a map, or is it a warning? Think about this. You are in a quiet room and you have been your entire life. Suddenly, a voice from the next room, a room you didn't even know existed, whispers something in a language you do not understand. You don't know the speaker's intent. You don't know if they are friendly or hostile or simply indifferent. You only know with chilling certainty that they are there. This is the position humanity finds itself in tonight. The world's best cryptographers, our code breakers, are reportedly being assembled at secure, undisclosed locations. Mathematicians, linguists, physicists, and even philosophers are being brought in to stare at this string of ones and zeros to try and find a pattern, a key Rosetta Stone for a language that is not of this earth. This is a new kind of challenge. It's not a challenge of resources or politics, it's a challenge of intellect. Can we, a species that still struggles to understand each other, possibly hope to understand a mind that has evolved under a different sun on a different world for perhaps millions or even billions of years longer than us? The signal is a ghost in the machine, a voice from the void, and its very presence forces us to reevaluate not just our technology, but our own intelligence. This brings us to the messenger itself, the object 3I Atlas. For months, it was just a comet. Now, it has to be reevaluated. In light of this transmission, everything we thought we knew about it is suspect. All its anomalies must be seen through a new lens. Is it a comet or is it a construct? Let's look at the evidence again. First, the trajectory. It's interstellar. This is the perfect delivery mechanism. An object falling in from interstellar space is a natural event. It wouldn't raise alarms. It's the ultimate Trojan horse, a way to send a probe into a star system without announcing your arrival with the roar of a deceleration engine. You just drop it from deep space and let gravity do the work. This is a concept our own engineers have proposed for future interstellar missions, a Bracewell probe, a long-range autonomous artificial intelligent probe designed to seek out star systems, enter them, and then listen. If it finds a nascent technological civilization, one that is just starting to pollute its own ionosphere with radio waves, as we have been doing for a century, it would then activate. It would power up its transmitter and announce its presence. Are we looking at a Bracewell probe? If so, the comet itself is a disguise. Think about Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor. It too had anomalies. It was shaped perhaps like a flat pancake or a cigar. It had no coma, no tail of gas and dust, and yet it accelerated away from the sun as if it were being pushed by something. The official explanation was outgassing of unseen exotic ices. The more radical, and now perhaps more plausible, explanation was that it was being pushed by sunlight, that it was a solar sail, a piece of technology. Now we have 3I Atlas, and its anomalies are just as profound. We are receiving reports that the astronomers are urgently re-examining the data on 3I Atlas's composition, that green glow of diatomic carbon, that sunward pointing tail of heavy dust. This is where the speculation, grounded in science, becomes truly mind-bending. What if the coma, the cloud of gas and dust surrounding the object, isn't from melting ice? What if that cloud is, in fact, an exhaust plume? We've found details from a now sequestered preprint paper from a team of astrophysicists. They argue the energy output of 3I Atlas is not consistent with simple solar heating. It's hotter than it should be. It appears to have an internal power source. The report, which we have reviewed, posits that the object is a comet-class probe. A rocky, icy nucleus, perhaps kilometers wide, has been hollowed out inside a fusion reactor or some other power source beyond our current comprehension, has been working for centuries or millennia, keeping the probe systems warm during its long, cold journey. As it entered our system, it began to wake up. The power output increased. This internal heat, our sources speculate, is what is outgassing the object, creating the coma from the inside out. This would explain the strange composition, the unusual dust tail. It's not a comet melting in the sun. It's a ship venting its coolant. And the signal requires power, a lot of power, to broadcast a focused, polarized, narrow-band signal with enough strength to be heard above the roar of our own sun, which it is now very close to, would require the energy output of a small town power plant. A comet does not have a power plant. So you are looking at this object on your screen, this fuzzy green smudge, and you have to ask yourself a new question. You are not looking at a piece of rock and ice. You are looking at a machine of unknown origin, unknown age, and unknown intent. This is the consensus that is beginning to form in the highest, most secret echelons of science. The public statement is natural hydroxyl molecules. The internal, frantic, classified discussion is that we are looking at a probe. This reframes the entire encounter. This isn't a passive message in a bottle. This is an active event. The messenger is not just a carrier. The messenger is the message. The message is, we built this, we are advanced enough to build this, and we have sent it to you. Well, not to us precisely, to this solar system. The probe may have been waiting for millennia. It may have drifted through our system, silent, a dozen times before. But now, in the early 21st century, it heard us. It heard our radio, our television, our military radar. It heard the electronic noise of 1 billion cell phones. And it determined that now was the time. The inhabitants of the third planet had reached the required threshold. So it turned on its transmitter. It began to speak. This is the theory. And it is the only theory that tonight fits all the facts, all the anomalies, the object's path, its speed, its composition, its heat, and now its voice. We are no longer dealing with astronomy. We are dealing with archaeology. We are in real time unearthing a relic that is not of human hands, and it's not buried in sand. It's flying past Jupiter. This is a moment of profound, almost religious awe, mixed with a very real, very primal existential dread. The universe we thought we knew, the one of physics and chemistry, has just been joined by one of biology, of intelligence, of purpose. And that purpose is, for now, a total terrifying unknown. As you can imagine, a revelation of this magnitude is not simple. It is not managed. It explodes. And that is what we are witnessing tonight. The fracturing of the scientific community and the desperate, and we believe failing, attempt by official bodies to manage the narrative. Let's return to that first official report, the one that was published and widely reported just days ago, that the signal from 3I Atlas was natural, the result of hydroxyl molecules of water. Our sources confirm this report is in fact 100% accurate. The natural signal is there. What we are reporting tonight is that this true fact was used to hide the larger, more profound truth. It was a plausible deniability press release. Think about the position of the astronomers who first saw the artificial signal. They saw a thin spike right next to the wider, messier spike of the OH molecules. It would be incredibly easy to miss or to be convinced that it was just an echo, a harmonic, or an error in the equipment. But it wasn't an error. We found details that a bitter, internal, and now leaked email chain between members of the Radio Astronomy Consortium shows a clear divide. On one side, a conservative faction, they argued, we cannot be sure. The implications of getting this wrong are too great. We must report only the natural signal. We must study the other spike for months, perhaps years, before we even hint at its true nature. On the other side, a smaller, we are told, but more vocal group who argued that this is not our discovery to keep. This belongs to humanity. To hide this, even for a day, is the greatest scientific crime in history. Tonight, that second group has, it seems, won, or at least they have leaked. The data is now in the wild. we are getting reports just moments ago that the official servers where the raw data from the Meerkat telescope is stored have just been flooded with access requests. Other observatories, independent astronomers, and yes, news organizations are all pulling the data, all running the analysis. The secret is out, the cat is out of the bag, and the official bodies are in chaos. We have reached out to NASA, to the European Space Agency, to the leadership at the International Astronomical Union. The official response so far is a deafening no comment. But no comment is a comment. On any other day, for any other astronomical story, they would be falling over themselves to provide context, to explain the science. Their silence tonight is frankly terrifying. It speaks to the truth of this report. They are scrambling. We are seeing in real time the scientific process buckling under the weight of a discovery it was not prepared for. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has always been a fringe science tolerated by the mainstream but never truly embraced. It was a high-minded, low-budget quest funded by philanthropists, run by dreamers. Tonight, those dreamers have been vindicated, and the mainstream is in shock. We are hearing from our sources that debates are erupting in physics departments at every major university. The skeptics, and there are still many, are proposing alternative, though increasingly desperate, theories. It's a new, unknown natural phenomenon, one camp argues, a new class of pulsar, or a strange plasma interaction with a solar wind. But as we've reported, this doesn't explain the prime numbers. It doesn't explain the narrowband precision. It's us, another camp argues, it must be. It's a reflected signal from an undiscovered classified military satellite bouncing off the comet's coma. This too has been tested. The Doppler shift, the change in the signal's frequency as the object moves, is too perfect. The signal is moving with the comet away from us at precisely the speed the comet is traveling. It is not a reflection, it is an origin. This is the sound of a paradigm dying. The old, comfortable, we are alone paradigm. It is dying a loud, painful, public death. And in its place, a new, uncertain, and infinitely more complex reality is being born. You have to understand, this is not just a scientific debate. This is a human one. These astronomers, these physicists, they are people. And they are grappling with the single greatest contact scenario in history. We found details of one such argument. A senior astronomer, a man who has spent 50 years cataloging distant galaxies, reportedly told his colleagues, "We have to be wrong. We must be wrong. Because if we are right, nothing we have ever done matters." That is the level of existential shock we are dealing with. And this is just the first reaction. The scientific one, we have not even begun to see the political, the military, or the public reaction. What happens tomorrow when this is on the front page of every paper, when the markets open, when religious leaders are asked to comment? The world's governments have, for decades, had protocols for this, vague United Nations level discussions about what to do in the event of first contact. Those protocols, we are told, all assume the distant, weak signal from a star 100 light years away, a signal that would take a century to reply to. They had no protocol for a messenger showing up on our doorstep. They had no protocol for a probe that is already here in our own backyard, moving with purpose. The attempts to control this story, to slow roll the truth, were born of a kind of paternalistic fear, a fear that we, the public, could not handle it, that there would be panic. But the truth has a way of getting out, and it is out now. The silence from the official channels is a vacuum. And into that vacuum, tonight, flows the most profound story ever told. The story we are telling you right now. The fractures in the scientific community are just the first tremor of the earthquake that is about to shake the entire foundation of human civilization. So they are there. They exist. The Fermi paradox, the great question posed by the physicist Enrico Fermi in 1950, is finally solved. The paradox was simple. The universe is ancient, it is vast. There are hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone, and hundreds of billions of galaxies. Many of those stars must have planets. Some of those planets must be like Earth. On those planets, life should arise. On some of those, intelligence should evolve, and some of those should develop technology, and eventually interstellar travel. So, where is everybody? This question has haunted us. It's called the Great Silence. Some argued the answer was that we were the first, that life, or at least intelligence, is a cosmic fluke, a 1 in a trillion shot, that we are, in fact, utterly alone. Others argued for a great filter, a concept that suggests that for any civilization, there is an evolutionary wall, a test that is almost impossible to pass. Perhaps that filter is the jump from single cell to multi-cell life. Perhaps it's the creation of a large brain. Or, more darkly, perhaps the filter is technology itself. Perhaps every civilization that discovers, say, nuclear power or artificial intelligence or genetic engineering inevitably uses it to destroy itself. In this scenario, the sky is silent because the graveyards of the galaxy are full of civilizations that failed the test. Tonight, we have a new and profoundly more hopeful answer. The sky is not silent. We just weren't listening hard enough. Or perhaps they were waiting. The discovery of the 3I Atlas signal doesn't just answer the Fermi paradox, it reframes it. They are not here swarming our planet with motherships because they are not expansionist, they are not colonial, they are subtle. They send autonomous robotic probes. They send message in a bottle artifacts. They wait patiently for millennia for a new intelligence to emerge from its own planetary cradle and blink in the sunlight. This is a profoundly different first contact scenario than our fiction ever prepared us for. It's not War of the Worlds. It's not Star Trek's Federation. It's an intelligence that respects the local environment, an intelligence that doesn't interfere. It just announces. It plants a flag, not of conquest, but of existence. It's the galactic equivalent of one lonely lighthouse signaling to another across a vast, dark ocean. And what does this signal, this contact, do to us? It holds up a mirror. Think about the Drake equation. That's the other great astrobiological thought experiment. It's a formula designed to estimate the number of active, communicable civilizations in our galaxy. It's a string of probabilities. The rate of star formation, the fraction of stars with planets, the number of habitable planets per system, the fraction of those that do develop life, the fraction that develops intelligence, the fraction that communicates, and finally, the most terrible variable, L, the lifetime of a technological civilization. That L value has always been the great unknown. Have we, as a species, got a lifetime of 10,000 years or a million? Or do we, as many feared, only have a few hundred years from the invention of radio to our own self-destruction? The 3I Atlas probe is an answer. That probe has likely been traveling for millions of years. It may have come from a civilization that is billions of years old. This tells us that the L value, the lifetime, can be long. It tells us that the great filter of self-destruction can be passed. It is possible to survive your own technology. It is possible to become a stable, long-lived interstellar species. This is perhaps the most important part of the message, more important than any encrypted data. The simple existence of the probe is a message of hope. It says, we made it, and so can you. This discovery forces us to look at ourselves, at our own planet, our wars, our climate, our divisions. How must we look to an intelligence that has been watching us? An intelligence that saw us invent the spear and the wheel and the printing press and the atom bomb, an intelligence that only now has decided we are ready to talk to. This is a call to maturity. It's a cosmic event that makes us, for the first time, one people, not Americans or Chinese or Russians or any other tribe. We are, from this night forward, Earthlings. We are the species that was just contacted. All of our internal conflicts are suddenly profoundly rendered obsolete. You are now living in a universe that has confirmed in the most spectacular way possible that intelligence is not a unique human property. This will shake the foundations of our philosophy and our theology. What does this mean for our place in the cosmos? If we are not the chosen ones, not the pinnacle of creation, what are we? We are perhaps the newest, the youngest child in a very, very old and very, very large galactic family. This is a moment of profound humility. We have spent centuries building systems of thought that placed us at the center of everything. And in one night, with one whistle from the dark, that entire edifice of human ego has come crashing down. We are not the center. We are just one small, beautiful, noisy part of a much grander and much more crowded cosmic symphony. This is the mirror that 3I Atlas holds up. And what we see in it is a reflection of a species that is at once brilliant and flawed, capable of hearing the whispers of the universe, but still struggling to talk to each other. Perhaps this is the catalyst we needed. Perhaps this is the external context that will finally force us to see ourselves as one. The great silence is broken, and in its place, a great conversation is about to begin. The story does not end here. In fact, this is where it begins. This is no longer a what if, this is a what now. What do we do? The signal is a one-way communication. For now, the probe is broadcasting. We are listening. But the question, the one that is now being asked in the most secure locked bunkers and boardrooms on the planet is, do we reply? This is the great METI versus SETI debate. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, has always been seen as passive and safe. We just listen. METI, or messaging extraterrestrial intelligence, is the opposite. It's active. It's shouting into the jungle. It's broadcasting our own signals, announcing our presence. Many scientists have argued forcefully that METI is suicidally dangerous. They invoke the dark forest theory. It's a terrifying analogy from the Chinese science fiction author Liu Cixin. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter, moving silently through the trees. They try to stay hidden, because the moment you announce your presence, the moment you light a fire, you do not know what is listening. You do not know if the other hunters are friendly or if they will immediately identify you as a threat to be eliminated. In this scenario, the first rule of interstellar survival is be quiet. And 3I, Atlas, what is it? Is it a hunter, or is it just lighting a fire, hoping for a friend? It's broadcasting its position, its existence, to an emerging and, by galactic standards, primitive, and by our own admission, highly volatile species. Us, is this a test? If we reply, what do we say? Hello? Do we send our own prime numbers? Do we send the golden record we put on the Voyager probes, full of music and pictures and greetings? Or do we do nothing? Do we listen frantically, trying to decode the message while pretending we are not home? And then there is the probe itself. 3I, Atlas, it is here. It is not a distant signal from a faint star. It is an object in our solar system. We could, in theory, go to it. We are getting reports, unconfirmed, but from credible aerospace sources, that emergency meetings are being held at NASA, at SpaceX, at the China National Space Administration. Can we launch a mission, a flyby probe? Can we send the New Horizons style spacecraft at maximum velocity to intercept 3I Atlas before it leaves our system. It is moving fast, very fast. It would be the most difficult, expensive, and fastest planned mission in history. It would require a global effort. It would require us to pool all our resources, all our rocketry, all our technology for a single goal: to get a closer look, to take a picture, to see the comet for what it truly is. And then the darker questions, the military response. We can confirm that the US Space Force and its international equivalents are on their highest alert, not because they fear an invasion, but because they fear the technology, that signal, that clean, powerful, polarized, chirped signal, the power source that must be driving it. This is a demonstration of a technological capability that is by definition beyond us. It is alien technology. And humanity, when faced with a new powerful technology, has only ever had one response. It tries to weaponize it. Can this be weaponized? Is the message itself a weapon, a data virus that could crash our global internet if we decode it incorrectly? These are no longer science fiction plots. These are, as of tonight, the most serious national and international security questions on the table. We are at a crossroads. Down one path lies fear, the dark forest. We shut down, we go quiet, we listen, and we prepare. We treat this as the arrival of a superior and therefore threatening power. Down the other path lies something else. Hope, curiosity, the Brian Cox response, if you will, the response of awe, that we are not just looking at a new phenomenon. We are participating in one, that this is not a threat, but an invitation to join a galactic club, an invitation to grow up. The 3I Atlas probe is a challenge. It challenges our science, it challenges our religions, it challenges our politics, but most of all, it challenges our character. Can we, as a species, meet this moment with the best of ourselves? Can we meet it with unity, with intelligence, with a shared sense of wonder, rather than a fractured descent into our old primal fears? Tonight, a message has arrived. A visitor is in our home. The story is no longer, are we alone? The story from this moment on is what happens next. We will be here following every development as humanity steps out of its cradle and into a new and much, much wider universe.